Okay, so I'm going to make some assumptions here. First off, once again, the disclaimer. When I turn my back, it's hard for the microphone to pick up my voice. I totally understand. Try to keep this under 15 minutes. We're doing 30 days, okay? I go off the rails, but that's when the magic happens. That's when I say, that's a hashtag no filter Jason, you know, the Jasonisms. Okay, day 8. This is where I'm going to do kind of like a milestone in these videos. And what I mean is, let's say we have a lot of the stuff that I've already mentioned established, okay? What do we established? Well, we know the industry. We know your industry, right? We've established the model. So we know the app stack, right? We know all the applications that you're going to use for each corporate area for whatever, okay? Now we've established if you're going to have an internal person for it, pardon me, or you're going to have a remote department. Now, one of the things I didn't mention was there are some titles, new roles that you can think of if you're building or making the perfect business inside of the business, like you're hatching the perfect business from your old business, Don't say digital transformation. See that. You go Google digital transformation. You know what I mean? This is why I don't like that. It's because it doesn't really explain what you're paying for and who's asking for it, right? Yeah, everything should be paperless. Yeah, everything should be in the cloud. Yeah, but what are we... See, that's why the automated method is so advanced. White glove supervised modeling of your business and making sure you understand what you need internally and externally. That's what we're talking about. Is that digital transformation? I think it's more than that, right? So anyway, here's what I'm going to say. In finances, it would be considered a controller. Okay, this is a different type. This is a title I'm going to give you. I'm going to explain to you here. Okay, or a role. Okay, so in a controller, you know what they do, right? And so they're basically doing more than just the bookkeeping. They actually know some of the office operations or the operations of this and that. And I like the word controller, but I also like the word integrator. And an integrator is a job, a role where someone is speaking between the team and the executive level and the team, and they usually know. Well, actually, these days, they 100% know, this is what I'm going to focus on. They 100% know the app stack or the SaaS products, the platforms that you may not know all of. So they could be like an assistant, but at the same time, they're not. Think of all these words together. And I like to say like a super controller or an integrator or a super integrator, whatever. I'm making stuff up, maybe. Maybe in the future, it'll actually exist with a different title, but that's how you want to, as an owner, think, okay? Because if you have your GM, your general manager, the person that is in control of everything that is for that industry, remember, they could be specific to that industry, and so you are getting someone that's like what you know already, that's better at it even. You're buying a GM. I always say buy a GM for the perfect business, right? Hey, what are you getting paid over there? Oh, we're building the perfect business over here. And so how about we figure out some sort of profit sharing commission strategy, give you, a bonus for signing, and then we'll just put on 20%. Who wouldn't say yes to that, considering the perfect business is going to be built for them as well? Okay? Because they know that you're building a business that has the path of least resistance, best app stack, everything in place, best security, all of it ready to rock and roll, when they could be working for some asshole that literally has none of that, making their job harder. So do you think it's easy to drive by and with the window down and just be like, hey? Yeah, it's easy. These days, post-pandemic, easy. Just offer more money, okay? You'll get the best. Anyway, I digress again. So these titles, these roles, these responsibilities that I'm talking about, okay? Day 8. Nice intro, eh? When you're building the perfect business, what you want this process-forward business. We've got the app stack, everything I just discussed, okay? So now the process, right? We can design it and manage it better. And then these titles and roles of people that are internal inside your team may change. And now that I've I've added things like super controller or integrator, whatever, they may be people that you already work with in your team or in the business. You may be able to figure out new ways of giving them new job responsibilities, new titles, because now they have a different set of tools. So what we do is we figure out the process, okay, for the entire institution, with the new model, with the new app stack. And then these tools, these tabs in Google Chrome and the native application on their iPhones, okay? They're all coordinated with the path of least resistance in mind. Everybody knows when to engage what when. You've created a workflow for all the corporate areas. You know where the remote departments are. The communication points and the nodes inside, maybe, like I said, an integrator or a super controller. In a lot of ways, if you're working with remote departments and you have a small business, you might be able to get away with a one contact point. You may not need a GM. You might be able to do like an integrator super controller role or two. And those people are like between you, which you would be the executive. Okay, you would be the executive because you're the owner. You're not an owner. You're not an operator owner. You're an executive. This is how we're moving you into that. If you haven't been thinking about that already, yeah, that's how you do it. Okay, now you see the responsibilities are either with the remote department, and then if the remote department needs to communicate internally, they talk to the super controller or the integrator or one of those new positions, right? See what's happening now. And that job, whatever that first node of contact is, if you've got an app stack of 5 or 6 apps for all the corporate areas, that person, that team member knows those SaaS platforms. They're very proficient, let's say is almost expert proficiency in all of those SaaS platforms. So when they communicate to you, by whatever method or fashion that is up to you in terms of protocol, because you don't want to be disturbed for things you don't have to, executive decisions and dashboards only. I'm not getting to anyone yet. So what happens is when the remote department says something to them, they already know the answer that they're supposed to give that's human to give back to the remote department, whether through Slack. It probably should be Slack, okay? You see what I'm getting at? So now when the multiple remote departments are engaging the app stack from their administrative perspective, doing what they're contracted to do for you, outside, because it's all cloud. They're just logging in as advisors. And then they communicate through Slack or even in the platform to the integrator or super controller or whatever the title of that human responsibility is. They can kind of quarterback all of those SaaS platforms for you. Now you notice that when I'm saying multiple SaaS platforms, that means that if that person might have to have a little bit of knowledge of HR, a little bit of knowledge of financials, a little bit of whatever is trained by the remote department, by the business to business, by that agency taking care of that corporate area, however they train that integrator or super controller or, super assistant, super office manager, controller, or integrator inside your institution, whether it have an HQ or be remote, everything remote, doesn't matter. Now they have a new bunch of responsibilities, but guess what? It might be not a whole, it could be only a few hours a day or just like a standard, role. But they've just absorbed so many workflows because they know, and because you built and are building the perfect business, that there's all the automatic technologies are turned on. All the automatic reporting and dashboarding is turned on. The app stack is fucking a disruptor stack. It's perfect. So these little changes aren't going to you're not going to be a bandwidth vampire. You're going to be bandwidth conscious to this employee or staff member, team member. I like to say team member because everything else sounds like ownership. So now they know what they're getting themselves into. They want to work for you. They want to work in that business for sure. They want to work for this business that we're creating right now in 30 videos. Okay? And that's how it works. You can change the workforce right away by having a better app stack and having all the automatic technologies turned on and having whatever automated reporting, KPI, dashboard stuff on your iPhone only automatically real time. So you don't have to ask, okay? So now the functions of the business, the processes just have to be tightened up. That's it, okay? So I don't know what I'm going to title this day, but it's day 8. But I think I was getting towards this, how it all kind of, it's like this milestone of how the assembly of what I'm talking about starts to make sense. All right? And now when we can start looking at like what I think is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle is the process. And I'll do that in day 9. Okay?